Peter Legge podcast on this kind of chilly afternoon here in Burnaby, British Columbia. And my guest today is Diana Mohrsen. Is that what?
You've pronounced it correctly.
Thank you. A few weeks ago, Diana sent a copy of her latest book to my assistant, and it's called Secret Destinations, a Journey Only You Can Take. And it's an 8-day tour of parts of British Columbia, of photographs of this amazing province that you and I call home. And they are stunning. And the lady just had to be interviewed and had to be asked the questions as to why and how did she do it and what's her big dream going on in the future. So she's my guest today, and this book is here. Secret Destinations, a journey only you can take. And it's a really photographic journal of 8 days of photographs taken throughout this province. And you're my guest, and thank you so much for coming in today. And 5 or 10 minutes we've had to chat. I can see that you're quite gregarious, quite open, quite frank, and quite knowledgeable of what you're doing, and passionate about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And that's great. So tell us, how did you come up with this idea? And how did you, and secondly, as you're going through that, how did you learn to become the photographer that you are?
Okay. First of all, I'll just mention it was Alberta and BC and Alberta.
Okay.
Over 4,000 kilometers in total.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and
But it was just the 8 days.
In the 8 days.
Yeah.
I did quite a bit of
A
driving.
lot. Yes, I can see that.
I've thought about it for a long time. I've had reason to go on business through BC and Alberta and visiting relatives and that sort. And I found when I've mentioned to people, like some town, Valemont, for example, they'll say, Valemont, where's that? I'll say, well, you just go to Kamloops and go straight north and, there's Valemont. You can go to Prince George that way, or you can go over to Jasper that way. And they say, oh, yeah, I've never been there. I'm thinking, how could you not have, we have this beautiful, beautiful province. And I am just so taken with seeing wildlife beside the road. And it's random. It doesn't happen very often. And I guess I've gone on trips when I haven't seen any wildlife. But to just look over and see a little creek down the road, creek beside the road, and I'll see an animal, and I'll do a U-turn and come back and do a U-turn. And it was a young moose. And that's not in this picture, that was years ago. And I watched this young moose just wandering along the edge of the creek for a long time. And I took pictures. It was a little too far away. I didn't get any good pictures. But I was just, it made my day, my week, my month, that I've actually stood out there beside my car and seen a young moose just down the creek. Anyway, I've seen black bears, elk, bighorn sheep, mountain goats, a marmot or two. So I just wanted to share with people that aren't familiar with how great our provinces are in Canada, some of the wildlife that they could see, and as well the mountains, the stunning mountains. I like driving when I have time to stop and take pictures, and I travel by myself often, and that gives me the opportunity to do ridiculous things like, in this trip, I think it took from Merritt to Kamloops. There's a back road, Highway 5A. I don't know if you've ever been there, along Nicola Lake.
No.
Gorgeous scenery through just cattle country, I guess, just little hills, and you'll see some cattle, lots of little lakes. It's only 90 kilometers long, that stretch of road. It once took me 5 hours to go 90 kilometers, and that's because I stopped so often taking pictures. You just one stunning scene after another, so.
Have you ever kept track over the years how many individual photos you've taken?
No, but in the last, my current camera, I got that maybe 3 years ago, and right now I'm in the process of trying to eliminate some because I have over 12,000.
Wow.
And even though they're on my computer as well, I just, it's terrible to kind of press delete when you've got a picture like that, you know? And so it's time consuming because I need more room, yeah.
How did you acquire the skill to be a photographer?
I didn't. I just take pictures of what looks beautiful to me, that's all. I just, and I suppose maybe it's changed some over time. Maybe when I get back home, I look at one picture and see why I like one picture compared to another one. So maybe doing that, I have trained myself somewhat that, you know, proportions and things that this looks better. But usually I just go with my camera until I find what looks beautiful and kind of makes my heart sing. So, you know.
Mm.
And anyway, with any luck, when I get home, some will look okay. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever put any of your photographs into any kind of competitions?
No.
No. Did that not appeal to you at all?
No. Well, I think that, I mean, there are people out there that know a lot about photography. I've got a point-and-click camera. That's what I have.
Okay.
Or my cell phone. So I don't know anything about, you know, adjusting for light and all of those things. I don't know any of that. I just have my little camera. It's, I think I paid under $300 for it about 12 years ago, maybe. So it's not an expensive camera. It's, yeah. Anyway, so I've never gone into any competitions or anything like that, just simply because there's a lot of beautiful photographs out there. But, yeah.
Well, tell us how you came up with this, let's call it this journey, this 8-day journey. How did you pick the cities? And how did you pre-plan how you were going to put this together, which ultimately would be a book?
Okay. So last year, we were in the midst of COVID. As a single person living on my own, I found COVID dreadful. This whole period, and hopefully it's over now and we'll never go through anything like that again. I have 2 daughters and their families living in the neighborhood, like living close by, but you had all these restrictions, you know, like you can't have this many, you can't have people in, can't all get together because there's more than 10, there's 11. And we'd meet in a garage, sitting on stools, you know, 6 feet apart from everybody in a garage with their jackets on, having a visit. It's not the best thing in the world. Anyway, I found I was still working then, but only 2 days a week, and the company where I worked with, we had our own little offices. So you had your own little office, and if you left the office to photocopy, you had to put a mask on. So it's not like you're going to stand around talking to people. You're pretty isolated. So I thought, I need something to do. I need a big project to dive into. I have to do something. And who knew last year how long this was going to go on? It had gone on. I was prepared for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. But, you know, by last summer, last spring, I was done. Anyway, so I had to go to Chetwynd, and I was going to go there I could count it as a business trip, as a reason I could go. I had a piece of property in Chetwynd, which I've now sold, but, and I thought, okay, well, if I could book 8 days off of work and still get my work done there. So I had 8 days, and I thought, that's it, I'll just go. I'm not going to obviously visit with anybody because it was in the midst of COVID. And then I just started from home and said, okay, where will I go the first night? And I had a little timeshare at Sun Peaks, so just north of Kamloops, and so I booked that, and so that's day 1. And then I went from there day 2, sort of, and worked out where would I like to go. Oh, yes, that was part of it. There's a place in Alberta called the Grizzly Trail, north of Edmonton, and it goes up, heads north to Lesser Slave Lake. And it's paved highway, but it's called the Grizzly Trail because there's so much wildlife on it. So of course I stretched my thing and it just stretched my agenda and thought, okay, I can do that. Didn't see any grizzlies, no, but it got me to the town of Slave Lake and the Lesser Slave Lake, which was amazing to see, and some countryside in Alberta I hadn't seen before. And so then I went from there and worked my way over to Chetwynd and eventually back down, and I went through Jasper and through the park. And so I booked ahead a couple of nights first, and so my family would know where I was going, and I let them know each night when I get safely where I was supposed to be. And then after that I would just look and say, okay, where do I think I can go? Am I tired? How tired am I? How far do I think I can go the next day? And worked my way through it there.
Is that how this book came together?
That's how it came together. And
how did you end up picking these 8 particular, I mean, the photos are quite spectacular.
Thank you.
How did you pick the 8 days? And where you would stop for the 8 days? Or start to take the photos, I should say.
Bears come out in the spring.
Okay.
And when the dandelions come out up north, that's when the bears, you can probably see bears by the side of the road. They like to eat dandelions.
Okay.
And so, so I started off on June the 5th. So that was probably, I figured it was a good time for the bears to come out, that there was enough snow melted up north that there would be possibility of seeing bears. And I could get the time
you live
upward.
in Surrey?
I live in Surrey, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the point of the beginning of this trip.
Yeah, each day it tells where I went that day.
Gotcha. That would be a good, okay. So the first day took you from Surrey to Sun Peaks.
Right, yeah.
That's a fair trip right there.
Yeah, I guess.
And you stopped along the way, and
Hmm?
how many photos did you actually take, starting in Chilliwack and farmlands?
Oh, from there,
to
oh my
pick
gosh,
these
oh my
photos?
gosh, I don't know. Yeah, quite a few, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, as you can see from the first day, it was overcast. It was not a bright and sunny day.
Yes.
I also wanted to do this book to encourage other people to go out and see our province.
Yes.
And when you go on holidays, you don't always get sunny days, but there's still beauty there nevertheless. And you just have to accept that. And then you'll get maybe the next day where the sun is just beautiful. Like this is through Highway 5A that I was talking about, between Merritt and Kamloops. And I don't know if the sun bounces off the hillsides because there's so many different angles, but the lighting through there, that area is just stunning.
It probably does then bounce off that.
Yeah,
other people.
it's just unbelievable. I've been through there a number of times, different scenery and everything. And here at the end of each day, I tell any animals I've sighted that day and my most memorable experience.
So how many photos are in this book? That's question one, part one. And part two of that question.
I think there's around 100.
And how many photos would you have to take to select those 100?
Oh my gosh. I maybe had 1,500. Maybe I took during the trip.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
And you do this all by yourself?
Yes.
There's nobody in the car with you?
No. It would drive them crazy. Probably I stopped. I stopped too many times.
Do you know instinctively when you see an animal or whatever you want to take a picture of, do you know that you've got that picture you want, or do you have to wait till you get back to the hotel or motel? And
Pretty much you have to wait. You have to wait because you're grabbing a camera. First of all, just stay there please long enough for me to get my camera. And so then you're trying to take pictures and they're, an animal will be wandering around behind a bush and, they'll have their face down in the grass or something like that. So you're trying to get them to look up at least, so you're just trying to catch things. And,
have you ever been surprised when you're taking a photo of an animal here and a bigger prospect comes up over here? And has that ever happened to you? And if it has, how have you responded to that?
No, it hasn't happened exactly. One time a few years ago, though, what I did get, and it was amazing. I was driving between Valemount and Prince George, and I saw a black bear beside the road, in just a clearing, right beside the road, and she was snuffling along in the grass and digging at little shrubs and that. And so I stopped my car, and I'm taking a picture of her, and then I realize I see something, and I'm thinking, what am I seeing? And I look, there's a tree behind her, and on the tree there's this little ball of fluff backing its way down. And I realized she's got a cub. This cub is in the tree, and now it was tiny. It must have been like days old, hours old. It was really tiny, and it's backing down. So I'm trying to take pictures of the cub, and the bear's here, not in the same frame. I think move over some. The cub came down. Another cub followed, and a third cub came down.
Wow.
And the only ones I could get with all four of them in, there was tall grass, and so you had these little bumps, these three little bumps, and the mother bear, I knew it was the mother bear and her three cubs, and I had great fun watching them, but I mean, as far as a decent picture of them, they wouldn't pose, they wouldn't, anyway, but that was just, stunning.
Well, speaking of pictures, on page 41, there's a magnificent picture of a swan. It's called a nesting swan. I think you can see that. It looks like a painting. I mean, it looks so majestic. It looks like a painting.
Yeah.
How many shots to get that one shot?
Oh, that one was just a handful. It was just a handful. I just had a few minutes there, and I don't know, I maybe took 10 pictures of that, yeah.
It's quite spectacular.
Yeah.
Has there been a scary moment on your travels?
I'm sure there have been, but I can't think of any right now. On my travels, not this particular one, but any travel, yeah. One time I was going up north, and I was going from Prince George up to Chetwynd, and you pass through, there's Pine Pass, you go through. Pine Pass is high, and it goes through the mountains. And it was in the wintertime, but it was clear. The roads were all clear and bare. And I got north of Prince George, and it started to snow. Like little flakes are coming in. I'm thinking like, oh, what do I do now? I don't know what's happening ahead. I don't know what Pine Pass looks like. There I am in my car. Am I going to find there's snow on the road and I can't get through? I don't know what to do. I don't want to turn around. And so I stopped at a gas station and filled up with gas and got a coffee. And then there was a trucker, big transport truck pulled in, going the other direction from Pine Pass. So I went over and asked him if he'd just come through Pine Pass, and he said yes. And I said, what are the roads like? He said, oh, bare and dry. And so even no matter how much snow right then, I was going to get through without any problem, so I kept going, yeah. But I was really questioning myself. I thought, this is...
Are there other scary moments on any of these trips, on this particular trip when you did these 8 days?
I don't think I had any scary moments that I can think of. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a bear walking down the street here in Prince George.
Yes. Oh, that was that moment was a little scary, actually, because of what happened there. So the bear crossed the road. I saw the bear come out of the left side and walked across the road. So I pulled over immediately, slammed on my brakes and reached for my camera, and it disappeared down the right bank. And I thought, okay, I've missed it. And then the bear turned around and climbed back up the bank, and I got one of it coming towards me. And then it disappeared again. And so I thought, okay, that's great. I think I've got a picture or two there. And I went to start up, and I went to get my cell phone, and my cell phone's not on the seat. And my cell phone and my camera were there all the time. I think, what did I do with my cell phone? Must have slid down between the seats. So anyway, I go through my purse. I can't find my cell phone there. I'm looking down. I can't find it there. I move my seat. The only other thing to do is to get out, walk around the other side to see if it's gone under the passenger seat. Except we're on a bank, and the bear's just gone down the bank, and I don't know where the bear is. So I sat there for quite a while, and finally I got out and left my door open. The car's running, and peeked around the side, and there's no bear there. Anyway, when I got to the door open, I saw that the cell phone had slid up in front under the dash, and a black cell phone on a black carpet. So it was there all the time. But I wasted 20 minutes probably worried about the bear outside.
Yes, of course, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Is there one photo in here that appeals to you more, that took more time to take than any others?
That took more time to take?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. There was an episode in Chetwynd where a deer laid down in front of me in a yard. It just sort of collapsed. I thought there was something wrong with it. I'm thinking, what would I do? Phone a vet? What? And she just collapsed under the tree. And then she had a noonday nap. She couldn't have cared less that I was standing there 12 feet away taking pictures. That was one of the most unbelievable things that's ever happened, I think, to have a deer just at your wall there, just beyond that wall. It just relaxed and sat down. Yeah.
Where did this skill as a photographer come from? Trial and error?
Yeah, I guess trial and error, yeah. As I said, I just do what looks beautiful, so, yeah.
Well, tell us where the book is sold now. Where could people get a copy of Secret Destinations, A Journey Only You Can Take? Because only you need a copy of this book.
Yeah, it's in some chapters, Indigo and Kohl's around the Lower Mainland. If the store doesn't have it in, they can certainly order it easily. But there are copies, Indigo, Grandview Corners, South Surrey, chapters in Coquitlam. Indigo in Metrotown, they have copies. Indigo Spirit in Richmond Center. Kohl's out in Cottonwood Mall in Chilliwack. Yeah, and it's available as an ebook on Kindle, and online if you go, you can order it through Friesen Press, who published it, or Amazon. There's others. If you Google it, you can certainly order it online as well. So,
now, in fairness, you self-publish.
yes.
You produce it, you write it, you
Yes.
take the photos, you do
Yeah.
the marketing.
Yeah.
You're a one-woman show to make this thing work.
Yes.
Good
yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
You're full of adventure.
I am. I
Yeah.
enjoy adventure. Yes. Yeah.
Well, get a copy of Secret Destination as soon as you can. I'm intrigued by your story, and I thank you for coming in.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much for the
How
opportunity.
much is the book, by the way?
Chapters is selling it for $30.40.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the photography is spectacular.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not. You took every picture in here.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, every picture. Yeah, I
Roughly
think
how many
that-
pictures are in
I
here?
think there's around 100.
Okay.
maybe.
And how many pictures did you have to take to select those 100?
Yeah, maybe 1,500. I don't. Quite a few. Quite a
Wow.
few. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you study photography when you were younger? or-
No.
No.
No, I never have.
You just
no.
acquired the skill and.
I guess so.
Trial
yes.
and
yeah.
error,
Trial
yeah,
and error.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is.
Okay.
Secret Destinations, A Journey Only You Can Take, and only you could get a copy of this at those stores. Read it, support Diana, and maybe one day you'll be a photographer and you'll do the adventures of your life. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for your story.
Thank you.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed that you would do this all on your own.
Yes.
That takes a certain amount of gumption to do that.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah,
Yes,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Here
you
it
very
is.
much.